I've been a local activist with the Green Party since 2015 when I first run for council. I've also had the opportunity to run for Parliament in Christchurch. I'm also a non-violent direct action activist with Greenpeace, and besides that I've also been working closely and one of the local coordinators with Extinction Rebellion in Bournemouth. I've been involved with the formation of the Bournemouth group, which has really picked up, and we've got loads of fantastic people who come along to our events and get involved, who really want to make a difference locally, and being able to facilitate them and allow people to make a difference is brilliant. I feel really passionate about it, and being able to give people that opportunity. Most recently I've been down in London and been part of the Extinction Rebellion Week. Being able to be a part of the actions which were happening on Waterloo Bridge was brilliant, and the sense of community which was brought about by so many people who believe so strongly in the same thing, and actually seeing that take effect and seeing the pressure it's put on politicians to begin talking about the climate emergency and the way in which we need to go within society to change what we're looking at, and the way that we are moving forward to divest from fossil fuels and to reach zero carbon, and how we can slow down and hopefully reverse the effects of climate change is just brilliant. I've been involved with the anti-austerity marches and that whole movement which was going on. We've still got a high deficit, we've got more debt than we ever have done. The austerity methods are not working. We need to look at kick-starting and invigorating a green economy. We could have 1 million climate jobs in this country, and we could become a leader throughout the world for pushing this forward, yet we're being held back by continuous austerity, whilst in the same breath the government are still funding fossil fuel extraction. Being an activist primarily, the reason that I've chosen to stand for council is we need people where decisions are getting made and passed through the system without anyone being able to actually check on them. We need a voice of the general people to question all of these and give some arguments why these shouldn't be going through. There's more people living in Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole than there are Conservative voters. We've got, I think it's something like 40% of the votes were Conservative, so that's 60% of people who aren't being fairly represented, and I believe all of those people deserve to be represented, and that's why I've put myself in this position and want to be able to give everyone in the conurbation a voice. Locally, I think there's a huge disparity between the types of jobs which people are working in and the availability of jobs here when you compare it to the cost of rent and the cost of living in Bournemouth. We have a lot of service industry jobs which are notoriously low paid, on minimum wage or living wage as it likes to be called now, and it isn't truly a living wage. We need to work on making sure that people who are working these jobs can live locally and can still afford to buy houses locally, rent locally. When I first left university, I was unemployed, I was claiming benefits, and I had to go out, and I know how hard the struggle is to move from having to find a job, any job, just so you can pay your bills, and then to find the time to educate yourself, find the time to apply for jobs which you want to be in, find the right jobs for the industry so you can actually work towards moving yourself beyond just taking the lowest paid job just to get there. And we need things in place to help people make those steps. We need education, we need steps in place to help them, like the jobs fairs which we do have need to be a lot better. We could have in place things where we are helping people get apprenticeships, or helping people get their first step on the ladder into developing a career which they love. My working life, I work as a project manager for a company who works in sustainability, so we're doing green roofs, we're doing solar panels, we're doing roofs which help prevent flooding as well. That job gives me the ability and the organisational skills to be able to multitask on many different layers, and it's why I can do that and put that to one side and then continue with the activism outside of work. At the recent Extinction Rebellion event in London, I was arrested. You may have seen that in the local paper, and that was not something I was particularly anticipating happening, but because it's a cause which I so strongly believe in, I put myself in that position where that could happen. It isn't something I particularly want to repeat. When I have a belief and I have a passion for something, I'm not going to shy away from it just because the consequences may be of a slight threat to me. It's a bigger picture than that. I think we need to look at everything, and if me being arrested brings this story and brings this action into the media and into bigger public consciousness, then that happening I see as something beneficial in the long term, albeit not for myself in the short term. I like to try and live my life with the same things which I talk about. I believe that you can't just sit there and talk about something, you actually have to do it. You have to be a part of what you're talking about, and that's the way I live my life. And I find it really important that when you are talking about what you're going to do and how you're going to work in the way that you are, especially looking at the council and that, I want people to have confidence that what I talk about is also what I'm doing myself. I'm not just going to sit around and say, yes, this is what should be happening, or no, that isn't what should be happening. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to enact that change in myself, and also try and enact it on a local and hopefully a global level.